You'd think that making stars for the future would rank pretty highly on Vince McMahon's list of things to do in order to keep his darling WWE afloat. Yet, time and time again, WWE have showcased a complete lack of vision in terms of setting up talents to become the next big thing. And it's not like they haven't had ample chances to create the stars of tomorrow either. You always hope for the best when a new performer is thrown into the spotlight. Yet often these exciting breakouts are fleeting, and the dreary status quo is quickly re-established before our very eyes. I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 WWE star-making moments that changed nothing. Number 10, Karma wreaks havoc. All signs seem to point to a debuting Karma, devastating all those who stood in her way back in 2011, with Michelle McCool first falling victim to her at Extreme Rules. Yet this star-making momentum would come to a screeching halt just a month after her debut, when Karma looked as though she was about to wreak havoc on an 8-woman tag match on Monday Night Raw. Instead of the expected massacre, Karma instead fell to her knees and started to cry. It later came to pass that she was in fact pregnant and therefore had to cease competing until she'd had a child. Her terrifying aura was permanently damaged after this incident, and she would leave the company after taking part in the 2012 Royal Rumble, her first and only official WWE match. Number 9, Tye Dillinger's Royal Rumble entrance. Going from developmental talent to finding his footing on the independent scene, Tye Dillinger eventually morphed himself into a crowd favourite on the Black and Gold brand, with his perfect 10 gimmick proving to be a masterstroke in crowd engagement. This all led to a Royal Rumble moment that, although expected, nearly blew the roof off of the Alamodome in 2017. Entering the match at his signature number 10, Dillinger strutted down to the ring to the approval of 50,000 strong, and it looked as though WWE had a new main roster star on their hands. 4 months later, Dillinger arrived on SmackDown Live, and fans were eager to see what the fuss was all about after his breakout moment in the legendary over-the-top rope match. His initial main roster momentum was stunted a year after his initial crowd-popping appearance, when Sami Zayn jumped Dillinger on his way to the 2018 Rumble match and killed off any hope of Dillinger being considered as a marketable talent for the rest of his WWE tenure. Number 8, Curtis Axel knocks off Triple H. In the early stages of Curtis Axel's WWE career, it was looking as though he was actually going to live up to the legacy of Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. However, the former Michael McGillicuddy's shocking victory over the indomitable Triple H proved to be both the biggest and the only real high point in his underwhelming run as a WWE employee. Up to this point. The fact that the victory came due to an oddly executed concussion being suffered by the game still didn't take away the full shine of a W over one of the company's biggest names on his first night as the newly christened AXEL. However, as quickly as he'd won his first Intercontinental Championship, he was then being used as a pawn in the CM Punk Paul Heyman feud. Failed attempts at tag team success followed, and AXEL now currently finds himself being routinely mocked as one half of the B team. Go you, Axel. Number 7, Gallows and Anderson attack the Usos. By all accounts, this debut should have been the dawning of a new era for WWE's ailing tag team division. Yet the rug was pulled from under Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson's feet merely a few months after their arrival. Things started out well enough, with the duo eventually rekindling their alliance with AJ Styles and aiding the Phenomenal One in his matches against both Roman Reigns and John Cena. Then, before they even had the chance to really put a stamp on the roster, the club was disbanded after Styles was drafted to SmackDown Live in the 2016 brand split. It was the beginning of the end of their initial buzz, and the pair, despite now finding themselves united with Styles again in the OC, have never been able to string a quality run of performances together and often do go missing on television for months on end. Number 6, Damien Sandow turns on The Miz. Damien Sandow showcased a chameleon-like ability to adapt to whatever material he was given, and somehow got many of these questionable concepts over with the live crowd. Yet it was his hilarious knack for impersonations that really forced fans into falling in love with the former Mr. Money in the Bank, and his employment as The Miz's stunt double led to some of the most unlikely highlights of 2014-15. After winning and subsequently losing the WWE Tag Team titles, Damien Mizdow would find himself relegated to the role of Miz's personal assistant. But The Miz finally received his long-awaited comeuppance from Mizdow in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 31. This led to Sandow turning face for the first time in his career, and fans couldn't wait to see just what the future would hold for their appointed hero. Unfortunately, his buzz was killed off before he'd ever had a chance to properly exist, and by 2016 it was as if Sandow's star-making moment at Mania 31 had never even happened. Number 5, Bray Wyatt wins the WWE Championship for the first time. Long before the Eater of Worlds had the epiphany of splitting his psyche into that of a children's TV presenter and diabolical fiend, Bray Wyatt was the company's most prolific producer of hot air. Incredibly, his numerous setbacks and false dawns hadn't completely murdered the buzz surrounding Wyatt. And after the 100,000th revival of his Wyatt family on SmackDown Live, Wyatt somehow found himself holding the WWE Championship over his head at the end of Elimination Chamber 2017. The seeds were clearly being planted for a Royal Rumble winning Randy Orton turning on Wyatt, with Orton becoming a part of the family in late 2016. And when the trigger was finally pulled on the two's implosion, fans were left questioning the execution of said breakup. Babyface Orton burnt down Wyatt's compound and forced Wyatt into accepting a WrestleMania 33 showdown between the former brethren. Both the Mania match, which Wyatt lost, and the subsequent non-title House of Horrors train wreck only succeeded in extinguishing any further main event prospects for this version of the former world champion. Number 4, Dolph Ziggler cashes in. Dolph Ziggler had the potential to be the kind of athletically gifted babyface that the company had struggled to replicate since the days of a young Shawn Michaels superkicking his way to the main event of WrestleMania 12. Ziggler's crowning cash-in moment on Alberto Del Rio went down in history, producing one of the loudest crowd reactions ever heard in a WWE arena. That's why it was such a letdown when Ziggler's reign was derailed by an ill-timed concussion and the foolish decision for him to drop the World Heavyweight Championship back to Del Rio at Payback, just 2 months on from his stirring victory on the Raw after WrestleMania 29. Ziggler never recovered, and his brief spell with the gold wasn't revisited, leading many current fans to even forget that he was once a credible world title challenger at all. Number 3, Jack Swagger cashes in. Back in 2010, Jack Swagger had ticked all the necessary boxes to be considered as WWE's next big thing. He'd already enjoyed a world title run, albeit with the ECW Championship, and even managed to seal that all-important Money in the Bank briefcase win at WrestleMania 26. He would cash in this opportunity on Chris Jericho on the SmackDown after Mania, winning the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time, and it looked as though WWE had found their newest top star. Then the wheels fell off his push when Rey Mysterio stole his title away at the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view. And he then failed in trying to recapture the gold at Money in the Bank. Swagger fell back down the card, and it seemed as though the Swagger experiment had failed, leaving WWE with no intention of taking another chance on the former champ. Number 2, Mankind wins the WWF Championship for the first time. In 1999, Mankind found himself embroiled in an epic feud with the corporation. After spending weeks trying to get one over on The Rock, Mankind was finally, with the help of Stone Cold Steve Austin, able to steal the title away from McMahon and Co. Yes, this move won WWF a huge ratings battle with WCW, but McMahon clearly had no intention of following through with Mankind as one of the company's new top faces. Mankind quickly dropped the belt back to The Rock in a brutal I Quit match at the Royal Rumble, before later reclaiming it. Eventually, he would lose the title again in a ladder match on Raw to The Rock, again. And after winning it back upon his return from a 3-month injury layoff, he lost it for the last time against Triple H. That would be that, and Mankind would never be given the honor of being world champion again, even though he was never truly allowed to feel like the real man in the company during his numerous sporadic runs as champ. Number 1, Shinsuke Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble. Long before his putrid mid-card title run on SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura was being positioned as WWE's next breakout star, and his time with NXT had only highlighted just how easily he could translate his hard-hitting style over to a Western audience. Fans lapped up his ferocious matches against Sami Zayn and Finn Balor, with his NXT title feud involving Samoa Joe also being hailed as one of the best in recent memory, before he eventually dropped the belt to Bobby Roode as his main roster debut was impending, and set up an eagerly anticipated New Japan Pro Wrestling rematch with AJ Styles by staring down the Phenomenal One in the midst of a Money in the Bank ladder match. That dream match would become a reality by the time WrestleMania 34 rolled around, with Nakamura winning the 2018 Men's Royal Rumble match and choosing to face Styles for the WWE Championship at the Show of Shows. Astonishingly, WWE opted to grab around the two megastars, and their subsequent feud involved more dick punches than 5-star classics, leaving Nakamura's WWE legacy in tatters. Not to mention his... not gonna go there. And that's our list. Know of any other star-making moments which didn't change a goddamn thing? Let me know all about them in the comment section below. And do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. I hope you're having the greatest of days, and I'm sure that I'll see you soon.
Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, here to let you know we want your live event videos, whether that be something that happened after the cameras stopped rolling, or your reaction to something amazing that went down at the show you were at. Stuff like this.
One of the other sweetest things I've ever seen was just recently when we saw Roman Reigns kick the shit out of cancer and come back on Monday Night Raw.
So make sure you send them to us in all the usual ways. You can tweet them at us, you can send them to us on Facebook, you can email them to us. Hell, if it's your sort of thing, you can stick them on a memory stick and post them to What Culture. But the one thing you need to remember is good, bad. Thanks for watching. Bye.